Erling Haaland gets 2 goals. He's got 30 now in the Premier League. Who do we talk about, Jonathan, first? Do we talk about Erling Haaland? I'll just do that. Or do we talk about his assistant, Kevin De Bruyne? I mean, both of them are phenomenal players.
Oh, sublime players at the tops of their game, and maybe the best assister the Premier League's ever seen in Kevin De Bruyne, and a guy that might well go down as the best striker the Premier League's ever seen. And that's not hyperbole. You know, he's in his first season. He's a kid, but he shows those levels already. I mean, for me, De Bruyne had a kind of standardly brilliant De Bruyne game. I was left looking more at Erling Haaland. He'd had a layoff. You know, this was him after a few weeks out, feeling his way back. That first goal is really important because it'd been a tough first half for City in front of goal. He was really decisive with his finish there, and then, you know, the second goal he scores is one they'll be replaying for years. I mean, it's a technique, it's the awareness, the movement, that just sort of, you know, mechanical brilliance that he's got, knowing exactly what to do with his body to put the ball in the net, and the little sort of celebration. He's a phenomenon, and I think it was his day yesterday.
It's interesting that Guardiola talks about Haaland in terms of his personality and what he brings, not only in terms of the goals, Darren, but actually what he brings to the team. He's always got a smile on his face. Any wonder, I guess, when he can do things like that.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, I just tried to think of who I could compare that second goal to. The kids will probably think it's maybe Jet Li.
Peter Crouch would say that he scored them. Jet Li, maybe more Jet Li than Peter Crouch.
Maybe more Jet Li. I was thinking more like Chuck Norris for our age. But you know, look.
You've lost me there.
But I think the wonderful thing about Haaland scoring this kind of goal is the kind of goal we used to see on social media when he was at Dortmund on a regular occasion, and very often when we see players from other leagues doing it as regularly, because he's worth it, of course, and scoring so spectacularly with such consistency, what we always say is, yeah, but could they do it in the Premier League, the toughest league in the world, against the toughest defences in the world? And he has laid waste to that in spectacular fashion.
And that goal doesn't sort of stand outside of his body of work. He's already scored a goal probably better than that, equally acrobatic against Dortmund this year, that Pep Guardiola compared to a famous Johan Cruyff goal. You know, he played handball as a kid, he did martial arts, he's an incredible athlete, and he touched the ball 12 times yesterday.
Yeah, this is still this.
It's amazing.
We talked about when he arrived, didn't we? We were like, oh, he doesn't touch the ball much. But what he does when he touches the ball is...
Wow.
And that's exactly what they bought him for, to be the difference. I think about the Champions League semi-final last year when Benzema was so destructive, and there will be moments as we get to the business end of the Champions League where they will need somebody with his levels of concentration who can do the damage when it matters most, because that's where they fell short. They didn't have a Benzema. They appear to have somebody who at this age, and their numbers right now are spectacular. At 22 years of age, Ronaldo, 102 goals. Messi, 140 goals. Haaland, 179 goals. And it would suggest, and you know, sometimes people say that we're being hyperbolic when we really elevate players like Haaland, but you have to be talking about him as a phenomenon, one of the greats in European and world football.
You do, and I think the key word Dan used there was concentration. That's what impresses me most about him, and I think that's what Guardiola was getting at when he was talking about his personality. For someone that's still young, he's got that priceless ability to just wait, focus, take his moment, be decisive. And when Pep was comparing him to Messi and Ronaldo, I think he then went on to say, you know, he's like Messi with numbers, but maybe more like Ronaldo as a kind of a phenomenon. And I get what he means, because Ronaldo in the later part of his career has just become that player who waits and scores. And that's happened to him with age, but Haaland's like that already at 22.
Yes. So my question, I guess, is where will he rank in terms of the Ronaldo and Messi? Will he be right up there? Has he got the longevity? Can he go on and do bigger things than Messi and Ronaldo, do you think?
Well, I'd say, why would he not? I mean, if you're talking about him scoring, 80 goals more already at his age than Ronaldo, and if you talk about him competing for all the best trophies under one of the most demanding managers in world football, then why would he not improve? This is his debut season. He already has 30 goals. He is 4 away from the all-time Premier League record set by Alan Shearer and Andy Cole. He's got 9 games to do it. He could set a new benchmark that may never be beaten. Could he maintain this? Absolutely, yes he can. And I actually love in sport in general when a phenomenon comes along, somebody who you think, forget about your sporting allegiance, let's just see if I can get to watch this guy. If you can see him live, even better. Haaland is the latest iteration, if you like, of a sporting phenomenon. And I remember the game, it was the Leipzig game where he scored 5 goals. Yeah. And I almost felt cheated that he was taken off before the end of the game because you wanted to find out how many goals could this guy score. Yeah. And I think he will get better and better and better for working with someone with the exacting standards of a Pep Guardiola. You see what he's done with Foden, when all of us said, oh my goodness, he's not giving him enough minutes. He should go out on loan somewhere. Let Pep do what Pep does so superbly well and manage young players. Grealish, when he arrived and someone said, what a waste of money, £100 million. Now we're gushing over him. He will turn Haaland into something beautiful. And you know, I use that word advice because I think there is something very beautiful about when you see a sporting phenomenon, when you see someone who does what he does so well at his age.
I was thrilled the first time I was in the stadium watching him. You know, that's as an old football reporter who's seen a lot of things, but I had that sort of childlike thrill the first City game I went to that I saw him in the flesh. And he's a wow factor in the flesh.
We had the same, didn't we? We were fortunate to watch him
at the derby, earlier in the season.
Exactly. I just was turning around to wow. You know, I mean, embarrassing so almost, but you just have to watch in awe, don't you?
You do. I mean, he's physically, you know, his movement, everything about him is just a little bit beyond what you've seen before. He's still got, as you say, he's got a lot to learn football-wise. His touch still isn't maybe the best. His passing's pretty ordinary.
Wow,
but he's pretty good at that thing that he does a lot of, isn't he?
Absolutely. What are the papers saying? Do they have anything to say about him?
Yeah, Paul Rowan's piece sums it up really, because it's a wonderful understatement, if you like. In the Sunday Times, who reaches 30 in style, talks about the fact that he scores with such regularity and with such impressive consistency that the City fans were able to go through their repertoire of songs hailing the stealthy progress with which they're closing in on Arsenal. Tough game for them today. Obviously, we're going to talk about them in a while. But I suppose when you have a game like yesterday, John, and it's your paper, and you see what Haaland's done, but then you see what Grealish has done in the game, and you see the impact that De Bruyne has, and then you see the big picture of City stringing together a 5th game in a row in the Premier League, the first time this season they've done it. They're coming good at the right time. Where do you start with a match report?
Yeah, no, I know it could have been a million things, couldn't you? As you say, but I think you start with personalities, don't you? You do start with Haaland. There's a lot of elements to get in. As you say, this is the City that we always knew was lurking amid that early season form where they couldn't quite find the consistency. We knew they were capable of doing this, and it does ask a new question of Arsenal. And Arsenal have answered all the questions this season. But this is the moment now where they're really, I feel, under the biggest test.
I almost wonder if it's worth, Vicky, going from sublime to almost the ridiculous, because the player, and there has been this debate for a long time about Harry Kane, and some people saying, well, actually, Harry Kane's a better footballer. And you can run with that as far as you like. And he scored the winning goal yesterday in the Spurs game against Brighton. And he now has 23 goals. Now, that would have been enough to win you the Golden Boot last season. And
Not so this time around.
Not so this time around.